Okay, so here's the next phase of my Do You Want to Teach in China series, I guess. Now, I'm assuming that you've already got your TESOL or your TEFL or whatever certificate you need to teach in China, depending on where you're from. When you actually sit down to look at schools and look at where you're going to go, there's a lot of things you need to take into consideration. First is the salary and the cost of living. A place like here in Lanzhou, Northwest China, it's pretty cheap to live here. My salary is 4,000 RMB a month, which is actually lower than almost every single job hunting website I saw. Almost every single job that's offered gets a higher salary than me, but because living here is pretty cheap, I don't have to worry about it. I can get a pretty good meal for less than 10 yuan, which is awesome. Somewhere like Beijing or Shanghai, your average meal is going to run you at least 17 or 18, maybe even 20, 25 kwai. That's a big difference. So you got to really pay attention to how much things cost where you're going. Next are going to be your benefits or your perks or whatever you want to call it. Things like a travel allowance, bonuses, paid vacations and whatever, airfare, free apartment, that kind of thing. If the school you're looking at doesn't offer anything like that, then you better run. They need to at least pay partial airfare, give you an apartment, give you paid vacation. That's the very least they should do. Third is going to be the number of hours that you work. I teach 16 hours a week, plus my office hours and meetings and things like that. And my schedule is busy enough as it is. I'm not too busy and I'm not too free. I'm just about where I like it. So I would really recommend you to stay away from teaching somewhere that's going to make you teach more than around 18 or 20 hours a week. Teaching 20 hours a week doesn't sound like much, but when it's an ESL environment and you're dealing with homework and parents and things in a different language, and plus prep time and all of that, you're going to want to not do that. If they're going to make you teach more than 20 hours, don't go to that school. Make sure to watch your office hours too. Make sure that your office hours are not going to be too much. The next thing you're going to want to look at is the local culture and the local scene. Things like, is there an expat community there? Are there Western restaurants? Is it all Chinese? Is it a developed city? Is it developing? Is it poor? Those kind of questions. Ask the person at the school or go on the internet, see if you can find it on Wikipedia or whatever. That's a pretty important thing, so make sure not to forget that. The next thing is to look at where your school actually is, like what province is it in, and specifically look at food. Now that may sound kind of stupid and insignificant, but if you're living somewhere where you don't like the food, you're going to pretty much hate the life there, because you're going to hate everything that you're eating, which is going to make you hate yourself 3 times a day. And that, can be a surprising drain on you. There are 4 distinct schools of Chinese cooking, and they're split up into like different little subcategories. So go on Wikipedia and look up Chinese cuisine, and you'll see a bunch of info there, and you can go on Google or whatever you want to. If you're keeping track, I'm at number 6 now, and that is going to be the language. Do the people where you're going to go, do they speak Mandarin? Do they speak standard Mandarin for one, or do they speak their own dialect? Do they speak Cantonese? Do they speak, what kind of language do they speak? That's something you're really going to want to know. If you're somewhere where you're not going to see a lot of English speakers, you got to brush up on your Chinese real quick. It's always good to know the language anyway, because there's no guarantee that no matter where you go, there's no guarantee that they're going to speak English wherever you're going. The last one, I guess, number 7, is flexibility. How flexible are you as a person? This is far and away the most important thing. If you're pretty flexible and think you can adapt to whatever they throw at you, whatever kind of weird, crazy food, whatever kind of weird, crazy dialect, culture, whatever, especially if you've been to China before, then fine, go anywhere you want to. Try to stay out of the big cities like Beijing and Shanghai, because one, no matter what people will tell you, in big cities you're going to run into a lot more racist people and people who don't like foreigners or people who resent foreigners. This is going to cause a lot of controversy, me saying this, but it is true. I've experienced it, and my own foreign friends have experienced this as well. So this is just a fact of life. Get out of the big cities if you can. And 2, you're going to want to see new things. Generally speaking, once you get out of those big cities, the culture is going to be more traditional. It's going to be more unique. People are going to be more friendly. In my experiences, I've seen so many things because I was willing to be flexible, and I said anything is okay. So I ended up going out to the countryside, into the villages, into the big cities, into doing this and this and this, and it was really wonderful. So if you're kind of a flexible person and you feel like you can adapt to anything, then your experience is going to be fantastic, and you can do, whatever you want. But if you feel like you need that little comfort, that kind of Western food, you want a big community of expats, you need that little slice of home, hey, that's fine. I'm not going to judge you. Like, I know it sounded like I was judging you earlier, but I'm not. Try to stay closer to those big cities. Stay closer to the coast. There will be more of those cities that are open to you. So those are some things you should consider as you start this job hunting, figure out where you're going to live, what you're looking for in a school, and that kind of thing. So, please keep that in mind. If you have questions, just like before, you can leave a comment. Feel free to like and subscribe or whatever. I guess I'll see y'all next time.